Today's topic is all about what is a real hacker and what do they do when they hack. So, real, like, how do you define real? Well, real as in a person, automated program, a part of a botnet. So I guess we need to philosophically define what is a hacker, right? And this is the problem because hacking is a very wide, topic that kind of require you to know this and that or just that, and it can be a combined things of multiple different techniques and so on. So, what is a real hacker, right? And I think we should just agree right now that whenever you do something and you make a system in some way act or react in an unintentional way to your benefit, that could probably be what you call misusing the system. And that could be interpreted as hacking, especially if you're doing something for your own benefit and so on. So, yeah. So, what do they do, right? And I kind of want to talk about, I really would like to dive in the philosophical question of a hacker. Now, how do they think? How do they react? And so on. I do work as a professional hacker. I teach whole classes. I'm getting paid money for it. That is being professional, right? I want to say that it's very different from person to person. When you meet a person and they are hacking something, it could be something as easy as someone brute force their way into an access of, let's say, some sort of web page by WordPress, and then boom, you have access to it, and then what, right? So, what level of hacking was done to do that, right? And the level of hacking was just a brute forcing automatic attack, and that's really it, right? So you can also meet some other people writing programs, finding exploits, doing 0-day hunting and so on, or even end-day exploiting. And I feel like everything is a real hacker. A real hacker could also just be in person, doing a flipper zero, opening a power charging port on a Tesla, and then you could say, "Oh, you hacked it." But there is a certain degree to where I would call it just a remote control to being a hacking, because you're not really misusing anything; it's intentional. So there are some things that we should definitely be more accurate in defining, like what is hacking. So I would just answer the question straight out. What is real hacker and how do they hack? First of all, they all do what you know and as reconnaissance. That is very needed. Could also be called something like footprinting or scanning, which is a part of the actual reconnaissance. After that, you do more of that, more active stuff where you go into enumeration and scanning again, but in a more network vulnerability stuff and even extracting data information from the target or targets that you're trying to hack. Now, when I say target, it can be humans, it could be a door, it could be a computer, it could be basically anything, right? So now you are getting your information about the target. You need to gain access now. This is the part where exploitation, is a part of it. This is also where you are getting the actual phishing email from the threat actor, and it's gonna send to you something saying click this, download this, interact with this and that in some way to lure you into giving or maybe installing or running something on your computer, gaining control of something that you have or own or sitting on or using. Okay, so after that, you're trying to escalate your privileges, which is typically done whenever you have initial foothold. And then you do a maintenance. You need to maintain your access by creating some sort of persistence. It could be creating a user, installing rootkit, backdoor, so on. Most important, of course, also covering tracks, and then you could do stuff like exfiltration, also commonly used as data theft, transferring data. You can, you know, make people pay your stuff because you stole it or sell your data. And then basically that's also called post-attack activities in many cases, where you sell stuff. You can, for example, install ransomware now or whatever, launching further attacks. And we are basically talking about what are people using, you know, to do these kind of attacks. You know, they use stuff like Nmap, of course. They do stuff like, could be Metasploit, Wireshark, you know, Gun the Ripper, Aircrack. It could be stuff like Burp Suite, and so on. It could also be some homemade Python script, Ruby script, whatever, you know, that interact with some sort of API that you discovered a zero-day exploit in. Or it could just be an end-day exploit, or just basically, you know, some stupid programmer code, you know, without authentication that's going to be exploited. And then we are back into the whole part of talking about web stuff, where stuff like, you know, OWASP top 10 is basically hitting the wall and saying we are here to, you know, tell you about web insecurities. There are many web insecurities these days. It's not just all cross-site scripting and SQL injection. No. It's a lot more than that. What actual hackers they meet as common defense mechanisms could be stuff like firewalls, you know, IDS, intrusion detection, IPS, intrusion prevention systems, could be antivirus software whenever you have access, encryption in some sort of way, you know, protecting data confidentiality. It could also be some sort of locking mechanism protecting against, you know, integrity stuff. And user education, of course, whenever you're being recognized. If it's, let's say, a physical attack, you need to get access to a door or something, you're being, you know, cited and saying, who are you? You need to have some sort of response. So the answer here is not as exotic as you might have thought, but this is the way. And of course, we can talk about, you know, that you monitored some systems and you're gaining access to some sort of system, but let's just face it, you know, most attacks are basically because of some stupid error, you know, either human error or software error or faulty patch or zero-day or end-day exploit or an IoT device. You know, it's a very long talk. Basically, we are getting back to the same advice one more time, you know, long password, install patches, update your software, so on, you know. Don't just have, you know, stupid software installed in your computer. You need to, you know, basically be secure in that way. So what is a real hacker? Again, it could be me, it could be you, it could be anyone, your neighbor, you know, the old man, woman on the street. It could be the teenager, especially the teenagers these days. You have access to AI in a different way that we have, because they probably grew up with it, basically meaning they have a different way of looking at it and using it. I gave my initial thoughts on ChatGPT. I created my own GPT called Mr. Pentest, as you see, as I have a video about. You can watch it on my channel. And basically you can use ChatGPT as a pen testing tool if that is what you want to do. And there are other, you know, projects using ChatGPT, just such as the what's it called, the Pentest GPT, I think it's called, basically. And we're seeing more AI tools, you know, analyzing data and traffic, finding weird insecurities in the traffic, and all of that is, you know, automated. And because of that, we probably will see a series of more serious attacks in the future, probably near future, on, I guess it's gonna be IoT devices, but also, you know, just not to talk about the recent fault with the one called Crowd something, maybe Strike, who knows. We definitely see that, you know, a hacker can also be indirectly, you know, found in companies where it could be a person working there. So we need to stay aware, you know, have the educational level of employees high up and basically make sure that, we patch our software, make sure that we always think about who we let into the building, and of course the same way of thinking security in before launching something. So what is a real hacker? It's just a person, right? Basically, if you're talking people. That's the question. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, I would ask you to. It's going to be the best way for you to directly support me in this channel. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, of course. And if you hit the bell for notifications, you will always get some sort of notification whenever I release a video. This is just a podcast I'm creating at the moment. And I'm really thinking about, maybe finding another spot for it. For example, on Spotify. It could be a place like that. So if you know anyone that, I can interview or talk about on my channel, please let me know. Also, I want to say thank you for listening and tuning in. See you again online, and have a really nice and secure day.